A woman is almost never going to walk up to you and say, "I'm attracted to you, so make a move." That almost never happens in real life. Attraction usually does not speak that directly. It moves in quieter ways. It shows up in small habits, tiny gestures, and the kind of signals most men miss without even knowing it. And one of the biggest signals of all is what she starts touching when she is around you. That is where most men get it wrong. They wait for clear words. They wait for obvious flirting. They wait for some giant sign they cannot miss. But attraction rarely works like that. In most cases, the real message is already happening long before she says anything at all. It is in her body, it is in her hands. And if you do not know how to read that, you will miss what was right in front of you. Here is the hard truth: most emotional communication does not happen through words. Study after study has shown that people say far more with movement, posture, facial expression, and touch than they ever say out loud. That means while you are listening to what she says, the real conversation is often happening somewhere else. It is happening in the quiet signals. It is happening in what her body does when she is drawn to you. Women are not nearly as impossible to read as many men think. The real problem is not that women are confusing. The real problem is that most men were never taught what to look for. No one explained the signs. No one explained the patterns. So men assume there is nothing there. But there is. And once you learn the pattern, you start seeing attraction in a very different way. What makes this powerful is that these signals are usually honest, more honest than words. A woman can choose careful language. She can hide interest behind politeness. She can act casual. But her body is often much less guarded. That is where the truth leaks out. In small touches, in repeated movements, in the things she does without planning to do them. That is why these signals matter so much. They are often the most truthful part of the interaction. The first place this usually shows up is her hair. Yes, it sounds simple. Yes, you have heard it before. But most men still misunderstand what it means. There is a difference between fixing her hair because it is in the way and touching her hair because you are standing there. Those are not the same thing. One is practical. The other is personal. And the difference matters more than most men realize. When a woman keeps touching her hair during a conversation with you, especially if she twists it, pulls it over one shoulder, or slowly runs her fingers through it, that is often not random. That is not just grooming. That is nervous energy looking for somewhere to go. Attraction creates tension. It creates awareness. It creates energy in the body. And very often her hands send that energy straight to her hair. This matters because repeated behavior is what tells the truth. If she brushes her hair back once, that means very little. But if she keeps doing it, keeps playing with it, keeps adjusting it while talking to you, now it means something. Now it becomes a pattern. And patterns are where real signals live. Attraction often repeats itself. It does not just happen once. It leaks out again and again. And once her hands move there, they often move somewhere else next. Her neck. This is one of the strongest signals men overlook. When a woman lightly touches her neck, traces her collarbone, or lets her fingers rest there while speaking to you, that is not meaningless. That area is delicate, vulnerable. It draws attention. And when she touches it around you, she is often signaling comfort, softness, and trust without saying any of it out loud. That is what makes it important. The neck is not just another place people touch. It is one of the most exposed and sensitive parts of the body. Drawing attention there is subtle, but it is rarely accidental in moments of attraction. It is one of those quiet signals the body gives when someone feels safe enough to soften and open a little. That is what many men miss. It is not just movement, it is meaning. The same thing happens with her lips. This one is easy to dismiss if you do not know what you are seeing. If she touches her lips, presses a finger near them, bites her lower lip, or slowly applies lip balm while holding eye contact, she is not always just fixing something. Sometimes she is drawing attention. Sometimes she is making sure you notice one of the most naturally attention-grabbing parts of her face. And whether she realizes it fully or not, that signal works. People naturally look at lips. That is not opinion. That is pattern. So when she starts bringing attention there, she is often guiding your focus in a very quiet way. She is making that part of her face more noticeable, more present, more impossible to ignore. It is subtle, but subtle does not mean weak. Some of the strongest signals never need to be loud. Then there is the signal most men overlook completely because it looks small. Jewelry. If she starts playing with her necklace, spinning a ring, touching her earrings, or fidgeting with something she is wearing while talking to you, pay attention. This is one of the clearest signs that her nervous system is active. She is feeling something, maybe excitement, maybe attraction, maybe nervous interest, but something in you is affecting her. That is what makes this signal so useful. It often happens when she feels emotionally activated and her body needs an outlet. Her hands want somewhere to go, so they go to the nearest object, her ring, her necklace, her bracelet. It looks small, but it is often a physical release for internal tension. And when that tension shows up right after you engage her, it usually is not random at all. Then we move from self-touch to direct touch. This is where the signal becomes much harder to misread. If she reaches out and touches your arm, your shoulder, your hand, or lets contact linger for even a second longer than necessary, she is crossing a social line on purpose. That matters. Physical touch is one of the clearest ways people test comfort, interest, and connection without having to say any of it directly. And when that happens, most men make the same mistake. They freeze, they panic, they act like nothing happened. That is usually the worst response. If she touches you, she is testing warmth. She is testing ease. She is testing whether connection can move one step closer. If you go stiff and blank, the moment dies. Fast. The better response is simple. Stay relaxed. Acknowledge it. Let the moment breathe. Then there is the signal that happens across the table. She is sitting with you, talking, smiling, holding eye contact, and her fingers start tracing the rim of her glass, sliding along the edge of a cup, or slowly moving up and down the stem of a drink. Most men see this and think nothing of it, but this is often a strong sign of emotional engagement and rising attraction. What is happening there is simple. Her energy needs somewhere to go. She cannot direct all of it at you yet, so it gets redirected into the object in front of her. The glass becomes the outlet, the movement becomes the signal. It is subtle, but it is rarely empty when paired with eye contact, warmth, and focused attention. Context matters. One signal alone means little. Several signals together say much more. Then comes preening. This is another old signal that still shows up all the time. If she starts adjusting her clothes, smoothing her skirt, fixing her sleeve, straightening her top, or checking how she looks once she notices you, that usually is not random. She is becoming more aware of how she appears in front of you, and that awareness matters because people do not refine presentation for people they do not care to impress. That is the key. Context. If she was already fixing her clothes before noticing you, that means little. But if she starts doing it once your attention is there, now it means something different. Now it is targeted. Now it is personal. She is not just adjusting fabric. She is adjusting presentation. She wants to be seen well. And that alone tells you her attention is no longer neutral. And then there is the signal men misread all the time. She rests her chin on her hand. She cradles her cheek. She leans in and frames her face while listening to you. Most men assume boredom. They assume she is tired, checked out, half listening. Very often, it means the opposite. Very often, it means she is fully engaged and more drawn in than she is letting herself say. This is one of the softest signals of all. It is calm. It is open. It is intimate in a very quiet way. When she frames her face like that while watching you, she is often drawing attention to her expression, her eyes, her softness. She is settled, present, comfortable enough to stop guarding every movement. That is not distance. That is ease. And ease is often where attraction becomes most visible. That is the bigger point in all of this. None of these signals need words. Not one. That is exactly why they are missed so often. Men are trained to wait for language, but attraction often speaks long before words ever arrive. It shows up in touch, in rhythm, in repeated movement, in the things people do when they feel something and are not ready to say it plainly yet. So the next time you are talking to a woman, stop focusing only on what she says. Watch what her hands do. Watch what repeats. Watch where her attention goes when she is around you. That is where the real story often begins. Not in her words, in her patterns. And if you learn to read those patterns well, you will stop missing signals that were there all along.